At 5 years old, I have the fear of death, and I learned to become a total liar because I know my mother was going to be killed if I didn't do what the man said. My name's Doug. I am 67 years old, and I have been working in the field of those who have come out of the gay lifestyle for about 40 years now. I was always, in my thinking, a girl. So the things that I liked, he didn't like. I was not going to be a hunter, but Dad was a hunter who had to hunt to supply food for the family. He couldn't understand why I wouldn't want to do what he did. So the chances of us getting together and bonding were very slim to begin with. The first memory that I really have in my life was when my father came home from the woods after working a couple of weeks. As all good woodsmen, he came out of the woods, made a stop at the grocery store, picked up a can or two, or a bottle or two back then. By the time he got home, he was legally not able to drive, and he was also in charge of disciplining. A list had been kept by somebody in the house that I had committed sins. Instead of taking the belt like he normally would, stating that he was going to put an end to this little problem forever, and picking up an axe handle, I ran. And I can remember hearing, like it was today, the sound of the axe handle breaking on the steps over my head because he couldn't actually reach me. And I just lay there screaming to myself, why? What did I do wrong? A neighbor next door had been looking at what was going on and came over and said, I saw what happened. The next time your dad comes home like that, you come to my house and you'll be safe. Be careful what safe is when it comes to your children. Because the next time Dad came home, I went to his house, and the first thing he did was initiate me into the world of molestation. And then he said, if you tell anybody what I did, I'm going to kill your mother and your brothers and sisters. And so at 5 years old, I have the fear of death, and I learned to become a total liar because I know my mother was going to be killed if I didn't do what the man said. And that began a 10-year period where he would call periodically and have some of his friends over at his place waiting for me because he was selling my services. And so I lived until age 14 under the control of this man, and at age 14 I reached the point where I got angry one day, went into my dad's shop, found his .45 automatic, went upstairs, sat on my bed and yelled at God, if you don't take me out of this, I'm going to shoot myself. And you got 1 day to do it. Next morning I woke up, there's a knock on the door, and there's a policeman. And the policeman asked my name, and I told him, and he said, you're coming with us, you're under arrest. You see, I had learned that if I was going to be sold and someone was going to make the money and I was going to get the pain, maybe I ought to charge a little more and get the money too. So I ceased to be a victim and became part of the problem and got caught. And I got to look in my mother's eyes when she was told that her perfect straight A Boy Scout, church-going, perfect lying child was really a street prostitute. And then I got to hear her answer. She said, I don't care. You're my son. I will love you. I will accept you. And I will help you through this problem no matter what it takes. Now, if she had rejected me in any way, shape, or form, I would have broken away and gone and got that gun. But she didn't. The church lady who had gotten into the courtroom stood up and said, "Your Honor, we have Christian boarding schools in our church. And if I can get him into a Christian boarding school, would you change your sentence?" And the judge thought for a little bit, and he said, "Have him tested. If the psychiatrist says he can change, and if you can find a school that will take him, I will change my sentence." They gave me all the tests. I scored a perfect female on the gender identity score. I believed I was a girl. But the psychologist that gave me the test said, "I have been through a problem worse than yours. I think God's got something special. I'm going to allow you to go to that school." And he did a miraculous thing. He actually signed the paper. Saturday, I am at the school, a most beautiful Christian school in New England, sitting in front of a principal. I saw him bow his head. When he stopped, opened his eyes again, he picked up my file, opened the drawer of the desk, put my file in the drawer, and said, "If you don't open that drawer in 4 years, I won't either." Welcome to your new home. And in 4 days, I went from the hell of the street to the most beautiful Christian school that you can imagine. In 4 years, I was the student dean of the dormitory in charge of the 75 boys. Went on to college, became a teacher, did some preaching, did some counseling, and have spent the last 40 years reaching back, trying to draw out those kids that I know are there.